In February 2025, a Singapore-based tech company named BCSILS Solutions that provides cloud systems for healthcare providers experienced a serious cybersecurity breach. What happened on this breach? This breach affected over 55,000 patient records across Southeast Asia, including Malaysia. Hackers somehow managed to exploit a software vulnerability and obtained access to BCSILS' cloud system. Even though the patient data was encrypted, the encryption keys were stored on the same server, so the attackers were able to unlock and potentially view the information. The breach wasn't discovered for 9 days. The impact was severe and immediate. Several healthcare clients stopped using BCSILS' services. The media reported the company as unsafe. Regulatory bodies, including Malaysia's Personal Data Protection Office, launched an investigation and imposed fines heavily. Clinics were forced to go back to using manual records, causing delays and confusion. This incident had highlighted how important it is the cybersecurity in digital healthcare, especially when handling private patient data. BCSILS Solutions is what we call an application service provider, or ASP, instead of selling software to install on computers. They provide their services over the internet through the cloud. The company's flagship platform is ITM2206E, which is a cloud-based system used by hospitals and clinics to manage electronic health records. EHR.MediLink360 allows healthcare professionals to store and manage patient records securely, schedule appointments and handle billing, access patient data from any authorized device, and generate digital prescriptions and lab orders. Silvercare Clinic Group in Malaysia is a chain of elderly care clinics, is also one of BCSILS' major clients. Their day-to-day operations rely fully on MediLink360, meaning all of their patient records, medical histories, and financial data are stored on BCSILS' servers. Everything was working smoothly until the breach occurred. Here's what actually happened. The breach started with a zero-day vulnerability in a third-party plugin used by BCSILS' web firewall. A zero-day vulnerability is a hidden flaw in software that no one knows about, not even the developer, until it's discovered by attackers or security researchers. In this case, the vulnerability was later patched by the software vendor. However, BCSILS failed for more than 5 months to apply that patch. This gave attackers enough time to exploit the weakness and also to break into the system. Once inside, the attackers gained full administrative access, meaning they could do almost anything inside the system. So first, they extracted encrypted patient data from the database. But because the encryption keys were stored on the same server, the attackers likely had access to those as well, which means very likely they could also decrypt the data. The most worrying part is that BCSILS had no monitoring tools at that time, no intrusion detection system, and no real-time security event tracking. So the breach went undetected for a good 9 days. After stealing the data, the attackers posted samples of it on the dark web and demanded a ransom in Bitcoin. This incident showed several major vulnerabilities. First, there was a lack of security management, meaning no dedicated security team and no Chief Information Security Officer (CISOR) in place. Second, the company had poor patch management. The vendor's security updates were ignored for months, leading to the system vulnerability. Third, there was weak key management. The encryption keys were stored together with the data, which is a serious mistake. Fourth, the company had no monitoring systems in place. No automated systems such as intrusion detection and prevention. System is found to detect suspicious log files in the system. They were unaware of the breach for 9 days long. Lastly, the service agreements between the company and their clients could also be improved. For that, contracts were vague with undefined responsibilities, timelines, or breach procedures. ended up with confusion and delayed responses in this case. Each one of these issues had contributed significantly to this severe outcome and impact to the company. To avoid incidents like this in the future, Medexi should appoint a dedicated security operations center SOC to monitor the systems 24/7 and in charge of responding to threats in time. A SOC in this case acts as the command center for information security, coordinating response measures and detecting threats. A CISO should also be hired to lead the company's holistic security strategy. Beyond leadership, another important step is developing a strict patch management policy. After the security patches are released, a review must be done and applied promptly, especially if they are addressing newly discovered zero-day vulnerabilities in this case. Lastly, Medexi needs to make its service-level agreements SLAs clear with all clients. The SLAs should include clear information, like breach notification timelines, clear responsibilities for each parties, and the exact process for responding to security breach. These clear business clauses will help Medexi become a more secure and reliable service provider, even though the breach was virtual. Physical security plays a crucial role in protecting digital virtual data too. If someone has physical access to servers or company devices, they could potentially copy, damage, or steal data. Medexi must ensure that their physical infrastructure is protected through strict access controls. Data centers and server rooms should only be accessible to authorized staff, ideally using biometric or secure ID verification. Surveillance systems such as CCTV must be installed to monitor entry and exit points. Sensitive areas should have limited access, and staff should be trained to follow security protocols. Besides, physical audits can also be performed regularly to the physical layout and design of physical security of the company. For example, man-traps can be installed. Good. Information security is considered incomplete without competent physical securities. Both aspects must be enhanced to protect the company's valuable information assets. Encryption is one of the most important tools for protecting digital information. It works by converting plain text into a ciphertext that can only be decrypted. Using a special code known as key dot, let me explain the two main types of encrypted data. Data at rest means information that is stored in files or databases. Meanwhile, data in transit means information that is being transmitted or transferred across the internet. This happens when a patient's record is assessed by a doctor remotely in this case. For Medexi, both type of data needs to be encrypted. In this case, what Medexi did right was that they did use encryption. However, they made a serious mistake by storing the encryption keys on the same server as the encrypted data. This is somehow like locking your front door but leaving the key in the mailbox. If someone breaks in, they get all the things they need. For encryption to be effective, proper key management practices must be used to protect the keys. Keys should be stored completely isolated from the data, ideally in a separate, secure key vault. Access to these keys must be restricted to authorized personnel only. In addition, keys are advised to be rotated regularly. Rotated regularly, meaning they're changed on a regular basis to limit exposure in case of security breach. And lastly, it's ideal to log and monitor the use of encryption keys. Hence, there is a record of when and who accessed them. When managed correctly, encryption can keep sensitive data safe. Even if the data itself is stolen, the Medexi cybersecurity breach wasn't just served as a technical issue, but also strong reminder that digital health providers must take security seriously. In this case, it applies to physical, virtual, and data management. It affected real patients' lives and records, clinics, and trust in the healthcare system. Because of this breach, clinics experienced disruptions and was forced to return to manual processes, which caused medical services delays. clients lost confidence and canceled their subscriptions. Regulatory bodies issued penalties and launched investigations. What's more serious? Public confidence in MedCSILS was severely lost. Cybersecurity is no longer just the responsibility of the IT department only. Also, it must be a company-wide priority. Everyone from leadership to technical teams needs to play their part and role in protecting data and systems. This includes putting the right people in the right position, investing in the right tools, like IDPS, and building a strong security awareness. Moving on. CHZE must enhance its technology and its policies and rebuild its clients' trusts. The healthcare industry handles some of the most sensitive data in the world. To keep those data safe is not optional, but also, it is essential. Lastly, thank you for your time for the video. I hope it raised your awareness and overall idea about the security for sensitive data. See ya!
Created using Powtoon.